The phone call came on a Tuesday evening while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my Manhattan office. My mother's voice sounded strangely calm as she delivered the words that would shatter my world. Ami, honey, we've decided it would be best if you don't come home for Christmas this year. The family needs some space after everything that's happened. Before I could respond, my brother Derek grabbed the phone. Well, just pretend we don't know you if anyone asks, he said coldly. My heart stopped beating for what felt like an eternity. I didn't argue or beg. Instead, I quietly said okay and hung up, my mind already racing with a plan that would change everything forever. Growing up in suburban Dayton, Ohio, I learned early that love in our household came with conditions. Derek was 3 years older and effortlessly perfect in our parents' eyes. When he brought home C grades, Dad would ruffle his hair and say boys mature differently. When I earned straight A's, Mom would remind me not to make Derek feel bad about his performance. The pattern continued through college. Derek barely graduated from Ohio State with a communications degree, spending most of his time at fraternity parties. Meanwhile, I earned my MBA from Northwestern with honors, landing interviews at top marketing firms before graduation. Yet every family gathering became a celebration of Derek's mediocre achievements while my successes were dismissed as showing off. 5 years ago, I moved to New York City and climbed the corporate ladder at Morrison Global Marketing. Last month, I received the promotion of a lifetime, Vice President of Global Strategy with a base salary of $250,000, plus bonuses. At 28, I was the youngest VP in company history. When I called home to share the news, Derek exploded. There she goes again, bragging about her fancy job while the rest of us struggle, he shouted in the background. Mom quickly changed the subject to Derek's work as a regional sales manager for a medical device company, praising his dedication and work ethic. Derek works so hard, she said. Has been putting in 60-hour weeks trying to make his quarterly numbers. Not everyone can have easy corporate jobs like you, sweetie. Easy. That word stung worse than any slap. I had sacrificed weekends, missed family events, and worked 18-hour days to earn my position. But in their eyes, Derek's struggle was noble, while my success was somehow unearned. The truth came crashing down 3 weeks later during a phone call with my college roommate, Sarah. She was visiting her parents in Dayton when she spotted a familiar face behind the counter at Bean There coffee shop on Main Street. I swear it was Derek, she said. He was wearing an apron and taking orders. I didn't want to embarrass him, so I pretended not to notice. But girl, he definitely wasn't dressed like any sales manager I know. My stomach dropped. Are you absolutely certain? Positive. He even had a name tag that said Derek, trainee. When I got home, I did some digging on LinkedIn. That medical device company he supposedly works for has no record of him ever being employed there. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Derek had been lying about his job for months, probably borrowing money from our parents to maintain his facade while secretly resenting my genuine achievements. No wonder he wanted me gone for Christmas. My presence would only highlight the contrast between his deception and my reality. That night, I sat in my corner office overlooking Manhattan and made a decision that would change everything. If my family wanted to pretend I didn't exist, I would show them exactly what they were missing. But I wouldn't stoop to Derek's level of lies and manipulation. Instead, I would let my actions speak louder than any words ever could. Instead of spending the holidays wallowing in self-pity, I threw myself into something that would give my life meaning beyond family approval. Manhattan's Riverside homeless shelter had been struggling to provide adequate Christmas meals for their residents. Their usual capacity of 50 people had swollen to over 200 as the economic downturn pushed more families onto the streets. I contacted the shelter director, Maria Santos, and proposed organizing the largest Christmas dinner in their history. Using my marketing expertise, I reached out to celebrity chefs, local restaurants, and corporate sponsors. Within a week, I had secured donations for a feast that would feed 300 people with all the traditional fixings. The project consumed my evenings and weekends. I coordinated with food suppliers, recruited volunteer servers from young professional networks, and arranged for live music from local artists. My assistant, Jessica Chen, helped me create a comprehensive media strategy to raise awareness about homelessness during the holiday season. Word spread quickly through New York's philanthropic circles. The mayor's office reached out, offering city support. 3 major television networks expressed interest in covering the event. What started as a personal mission to find purpose beyond family rejection was becoming something much larger. Meanwhile, 800 miles away in Dayton, Derek was preparing for what he believed would be his most important Christmas ever. His girlfriend Jessica Martinez had agreed to spend the holidays with his family. Jessica was a lifestyle influencer with 97,000 Instagram followers who specialized in documenting luxury experiences and successful relationships. Derek had been dating Jessica for 4 months, carefully crafting an image of professional success to match her affluent lifestyle content. He told her he was a regional sales director earning 6 figures, leased an expensive car he couldn't afford, and borrowed money from our parents for elaborate dinner dates. Jessica's followers loved their relationship content, regularly commenting on their picture-perfect dates and Derek's apparent success. She had been dropping hints about featuring their family Christmas in her holiday content series, which could boost her follower count significantly. The pressure was mounting for Derek to maintain his facade during the most scrutinized period yet. He had convinced our parents to upgrade their Christmas decorations and even rented expensive furniture to make their modest ranch house look more impressive for Jessica's social media presence. But as Christmas approached, the media attention around my charity work intensified. Channel 7 News in Columbus picked up the story about the young Ohio woman organizing Manhattan's largest holiday charity dinner. The reporter mentioned my background growing up in Dayton and my career achievements, though they focused primarily on the humanitarian angle. My phone rang constantly with interview requests and partnership offers. Major corporations wanted to sponsor future events. The governor's office invited me to speak at an upcoming conference on youth leadership and social responsibility. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family had rejected me for being too successful, the rest of the world was celebrating my accomplishments and character. For the first time in years, I felt truly valued for who I was rather than diminished for threatening someone else's ego. On December 23rd, Channel 7 aired a preview segment about my Christmas dinner, featuring a phone interview where I discussed growing up in Ohio and learning the importance of giving back to the community. The segment would air nationally on Christmas morning as part of their American Heroes holiday special. As I hung up from the interview, I realized Derek and my parents would likely see the coverage. Part of me felt a twinge of vindication, but mostly I felt sad that it had taken their rejection for me to discover my own strength and purpose. The next morning, I received a text from an unknown Ohio number. Saw the news preview. Derek's girlfriend has been asking questions about you. Something big is about to happen. Thought you should know. A friend Christmas Eve in Dayton brought unseasonably warm weather and clear skies, perfect conditions for the elaborate holiday party Derek had planned to impress Jessica's social media audience. He had spent the past week transforming our parents' modest ranch house into a winter wonderland worthy of a lifestyle magazine. Borrowed crystal chandeliers hung from the dining room ceiling, replacing Mom's simple fixtures. Derek had rented mahogany furniture to replace their worn living room set and hired professional florists to arrange elaborate centerpieces throughout the house. The total cost exceeded $8,000, money he had convinced our parents to loan him for his career advancement opportunities. Jessica arrived that afternoon wearing a designer red dress and carrying professional lighting equipment for her content creation. Her assistant Marcus accompanied her to handle the technical aspects of filming, while Jessica focused on presenting the perfect holiday content to her followers. "This is absolutely gorgeous," Jessica gushed as she surveyed the transformed space. "Your family really knows how to celebrate in style. I can see where you get your sophisticated taste from." Derek beamed with pride, though sweat beaded on his forehead despite the mild temperature. Maintaining his successful facade was becoming increasingly stressful, especially with Jessica's growing curiosity about his work life. "Tell me more about your company's holiday bonus structure," Jessica said while adjusting her ring light. "My followers love hearing about different corporate cultures, and medical device sales sounds so fascinating." Derek's throat tightened. "Oh, you know how it is with proprietary information. Corporate lawyers get really strict about social media policies around financial details." Jessica nodded but made a mental note to research his company later. Something about Derek's evasiveness around work topics had been bothering her for weeks, though she couldn't pinpoint exactly what felt off. Our parents bustled around the house, clearly stressed about hosting such an important guest. Mom had spent days cooking Derek's favorite foods, while Dad polished every surface until it gleamed. They desperately wanted to make a good impression on the young woman who might become their daughter-in-law. As evening approached, Jessica began her live streaming session, showcasing the elegant holiday decorations and introducing her followers to Derek's family. The viewer count climbed steadily as people tuned in to see her Christmas Eve content. "Good evening, beautiful souls," Jessica said into her phone camera. "I'm here in Ohio with my amazing boyfriend Derek and his incredible family. Look at this stunning home they've created for the holidays." She panned the camera across the borrowed decorations, highlighting the expensive touches that Derek had insisted upon. Comments flooded in from viewers praising the elegant setup and asking questions about Derek's family background. During the live stream, Jessica noticed several family photos displayed on the mantelpiece. Most featured Derek and our parents, but one showed a strikingly beautiful woman with long auburn hair and confident green eyes. The woman appeared to be in her late 20s, professionally dressed, and radiating success. "Who's this lovely woman in the photo?" Jessica asked, pointing her camera toward the mantel. "She's absolutely gorgeous." Derek's face immediately flushed red. Mom and Dad exchanged nervous glances before Mom awkwardly stammered, "Oh, that's just Derek's sister. She's busy with work and couldn't make it home for Christmas." "What kind of work keeps someone away during the holidays?" Jessica pressed, her influencer instincts sensing an interesting story. "She looks very professional and accomplished. Just some corporate job in New York," Derek said quickly, moving to block the camera's view of the photo. "Nothing too exciting." "Hey, should we show everyone the dining room setup?" Jessica allowed Derek to redirect her audience's attention, but the evasive response only heightened her curiosity. In 4 months of dating, Derek had barely mentioned having a sister. And now she discovered this mysterious woman who was apparently too busy to come home for Christmas. After ending her live stream, Jessica excused herself to use the bathroom but instead slipped into Derek's childhood bedroom to examine more family photos. She found several pictures of the same woman at various ages, graduating from college, receiving some kind of award, posing confidently in business attire outside impressive-looking office buildings. The woman's progression from shy teenager to confident professional was striking. In recent photos, she radiated the kind of success and poise that Jessica recognized in her own business mentors. Yet Derek had never mentioned her achievements or even her existence until pressed. Jessica quietly took a photo of one of the pictures with her phone, planning to investigate further when she had privacy. Something about Derek's family dynamic felt incomplete, like a crucial piece of the puzzle was missing. As she returned to the party, Jessica noticed how Derek's parents kept glancing nervously at the family photos, as if worried she might ask more questions. The tension in the room was palpable despite the festive atmosphere. Meanwhile, 800 miles away in Manhattan, I was putting finishing touches on preparations for the next day's charity dinner. The homeless shelter buzzed with activity as volunteers arranged tables and tested sound equipment for the live musical performances. My phone rang with a call from Channel 7 News, confirming the Christmas morning broadcast details. The segment would air nationally at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, reaching millions of viewers across the country. The producer mentioned that social media engagement around the preview had been exceptional, with thousands of people expressing support for the initiative. "We're particularly interested in the personal angle," the producer explained. "A young woman from Ohio making such a significant impact in New York really resonates with our audience. We'd love to feature more of your background and what motivated you to organize something this ambitious." I agreed to additional interview footage, though I carefully avoided mentioning the family dynamics that had partly inspired my charitable focus. The story was about helping others, not settling personal scores. As Christmas Eve ended, both Derek and I were preparing for a Christmas day that would change our lives forever. Neither of us could have predicted how dramatically our separate worlds were about to collide. Christmas morning dawned crisp and clear in Dayton, with frost coating the windows of our childhood home. Derek woke early, anxiety gnawing at his stomach as he prepared for another day of maintaining his elaborate deception. Jessica had planned extensive holiday content creation, including interviews with family members and behind-the-scenes glimpses of their Christmas celebration. The borrowed furniture and decorations looked even more impressive in the morning light streaming through the windows. Derek had awakened twice during the night, checking to ensure everything remained perfectly arranged. The pressure of keeping up his facade was becoming unbearable, but Jessica's follower engagement had been incredible, and he couldn't disappoint her now. Jessica emerged from the guest room looking effortlessly beautiful in casual designer clothes, her phone already in hand to capture every moment. "Good morning, gorgeous family," she said, starting an Instagram story. Ready for the most amazing Christmas Day content. Our parents had prepared an elaborate breakfast spread, far more extensive than their usual holiday meal. Mom had risen at 5 a.m. to bake fresh cinnamon rolls and prepare Derek's favorite pancakes, while Dad arranged the dining room table with the rented china and crystal. This is absolutely incredible, Jessica gushed, filming the breakfast setup. Derek, your family really goes all out for the holidays. I can see where you get your attention to detail and commitment to excellence. Derek forced a smile, though his hands trembled slightly as he poured orange juice. Every compliment about his family's apparent wealth and success felt like another weight added to his already overwhelming burden of lies. As the family gathered around the television to watch Christmas morning programming, Jessica continued documenting their celebration. She interviewed Mom about family traditions and asked Dad about his retirement plans, weaving their responses into engaging content for her audience. At 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Channel 7's American Heroes Holiday Special began airing. The opening segment featured heartwarming stories of community service across the nation, setting up my story as the featured piece. Jessica was live streaming their gift opening when the news segment began. And now we turn to New York City, where a young woman from Ohio is organizing the largest Christmas dinner in Manhattan homeless shelter history. The screen filled with footage of me coordinating volunteers at Riverside Shelter, my voice narrating the importance of community support during the holidays. The camera captured me directing food preparation, greeting shelter residents, and explaining the motivation behind the massive undertaking. Amy Thompson grew up in Dayton, Ohio, where she learned the value of helping others from her close-knit family. The reporter's voice continued. Now working as a marketing executive in Manhattan, she's using her professional skills and personal resources to ensure no one spends Christmas alone. Derek's face went completely white as my image filled the television screen. Our parents sat frozen, recognizing their daughter being celebrated on national television while they had forbidden her from coming home for Christmas. Jessica glanced up from her phone, noticing the family's sudden tension. Is everything okay? You all look like you've seen a ghost. That's our daughter, Mom whispered, barely audible. That's Ami. Jessica's eyes widened as she looked back at the television, then at the family photo on the mantel, then at Derek's stricken expression. The pieces began falling into place with stunning clarity. Wait, Jessica said slowly, lowering her phone. That incredibly successful woman organizing this amazing charity event is your sister? The one you said was too busy with some corporate job to come home. Derek opened his mouth, but no words emerged. The news segment continued showing my accomplishments. My Northwestern MBA, my VP position at Morrison Global Marketing, my 6-figure salary, and now my humanitarian leadership. Everything he had pretended to be, I actually was. Jessica's influencer instincts kicked into high gear. She quickly pulled up the family photo she had secretly taken the night before and ran it through her reverse image search app. Within seconds, the results confirmed her suspicions. The woman in Derek's family photos was indeed Amy Thompson, the successful executive being featured on national television. Derek, Jessica said, her voice deadly calm. Your sister is a VP at a Fortune 500 company organizing major charity events, and you told me she couldn't come home because she was busy with work. The live stream was still running, capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. Jessica's followers began commenting frantically as they sensed tension building in real time. There must be some misunderstanding, Derek stammered. I mean, we just thought it would be better if... Better if what? Jessica interrupted, her voice rising. Better if your incredibly successful sister didn't overshadow your fake career. Better if I didn't meet the actually accomplished member of your family. Our parents looked mortified as they realized their favoritism and poor judgment were being exposed to thousands of Jessica's followers during a live broadcast. The comments section exploded with viewers demanding to know what was happening and why the family seemed upset about their daughter's success. Jessica stood up, her phone still broadcasting to her audience. Derek, I need you to explain something to me right now. If your sister is this successful and amazing, why isn't she here? And why have you never mentioned her accomplishments? The truth hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Derek's lies, our parents' favoritism, and the family's rejection of their most successful member were about to be exposed to nearly 100,000 people watching live. Jessica looked directly into her phone camera, her influencer persona replaced by genuine hurt and anger. Beautiful souls, I think we're about to learn something very important about the difference between appearance and reality. The silence in our parents' living room was deafening as Jessica waited for an explanation that Derek couldn't provide. Her phone continued live streaming to 97,000 followers, capturing every moment of his growing panic and our parents' mortified expressions. "Derek," Jessica said, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "I'm going to ask you one more time. Why is your incredibly successful sister not here for Christmas? And why have you been lying about your own career?" Derek's facade crumbled completely. His face flushed deep red, sweat beading on his forehead despite the comfortable room temperature. The weight of months of deception crashed down on him as he realized there was no escape from the truth. It's complicated," he stammered, looking desperately at our parents for support. But Mom and Dad sat frozen in horror, watching their carefully constructed family narrative fall apart on live television. They had spent Derek's entire life making excuses for his failures while diminishing my achievements, and now their prejudice was being exposed to thousands of strangers. "Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together." While you work as a trainee barista at Bean There Coffee Shop on Main Street, lying to everyone about being a sales director for a company that has no record of you ever working there, the revelation hit Derek like a physical blow. Our parents gasped in shock, finally understanding the depth of their son's deception. The thousands of viewers watching live erupted in comments, expressing disbelief and demanding more details. "You've been lying about everything," Jessica continued, her voice gaining strength as her anger built. "Your job, your salary, your success. You borrowed money from your parents to impress me with expensive dates while your actually successful sister was banned from Christmas dinner. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together." "Jessica, please let us explain," Mom pleaded. "We never meant for things to get so complicated. We were just trying to protect Derek's feelings." "Protect his feelings?" Jessica's voice rose in disbelief. "By excluding your successful daughter from Christmas? By enabling his lies and deception? By creating a toxic family dynamic that rewards failure and punishes achievement?" Dad attempted to intervene. "You don't understand how difficult this has been for Derek, watching his sister succeed while he struggles." Jessica whirled around to face him, her camera capturing every word. "Difficult for Derek? What about difficult for Ami? Being rejected by her own family because she worked hard and achieved success? What about being banned from Christmas because her accomplishments highlighted her brother's lies?" The live stream had grown to over 150,000 viewers as word spread across social media. Jessica's followers were sharing the stream with friends, and local Dayton residents were beginning to recognize the family and location. Derek finally attempted to salvage his dignity. "You don't understand what it's like living in someone else's shadow. Everything I did, Ami did better. Every achievement I had, she topped it. I just wanted to feel successful for once." Jessica's expression shifted from anger to disgust. "So you chose to tear her down instead of building yourself up? You convinced your parents to exclude her from Christmas rather than celebrating her success as a family should." She turned back to her phone camera, addressing her massive audience with the authority of someone who had just witnessed something profound. "Beautiful souls. What we've learned today is that success isn't about the money you earn or the position you hold. It's about character, integrity, and how you treat the people who should matter most." Derek chose deception and jealousy. His sister Ami chose hard work and charity. The comments section was a flood of support for my character and accomplishments, with viewers expressing hope that I would see their messages and know that strangers appreciated my work. Jessica gathered her belongings while keeping her phone trained on Derek's devastated face. "I can't be with someone who lies about everything and treats family success as a threat rather than a celebration. We're done, Derek, permanently." As she headed toward the door, she delivered one final message to her audience. "Sometimes the most important Christmas gift is learning someone's true character. Consider this my gift to all of you beautiful souls who deserve authenticity in your relationships." The live stream ended with Derek sitting alone on his parents' borrowed furniture, surrounded by rented decorations that now looked like props in a failed stage production. His lies had cost him not just his relationship, but his dignity on a scale he never could have imagined. Within an hour, clips from Jessica's live stream were viral across every social media platform, with millions of people expressing support for my charitable work and criticism of my family's treatment. The story was spreading far beyond Jessica's original audience, becoming a cultural conversation about family dynamics, jealousy, and the true meaning of success. The viral explosion that followed Jessica's live stream exceeded anything she could have predicted. Within 6 hours, clips from the Christmas morning revelation had been viewed over 5 million times across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The hashtags were trending nationally, with thousands of people sharing their own stories of family jealousy and sibling rivalry. News outlets picked up the story by Christmas afternoon. Local Dayton television stations sent reporters to our parents' neighborhood, interviewing neighbors who remembered Derek and me growing up. The contrast painted by these interviews was devastating for Derek's reputation. Amy was always helping other kids with homework and organizing fundraisers for school programs, said Mrs. Patterson from down the street. Derek was nice enough, but he always seemed jealous when Amy got recognition for her achievements. I'm not surprised this happened. My former high school teachers were interviewed, sharing memories of my academic dedication and community service. Amy Thompson was one of those students who made teaching worthwhile, said my AP English teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez. She worked twice as hard as everyone else and still found time to tutor struggling classmates. What her family did to her is heartbreaking. Meanwhile, at Morrison Global Marketing, my colleagues were celebrating my viral fame for all the right reasons. The charity dinner had been a massive success, feeding over 300 homeless New Yorkers and raising awareness about holiday food insecurity. My boss called personally to praise my initiative and discuss expanding the program company-wide. But the most significant development came when major news networks reached out for exclusive interviews. CNN, ABC, and NBC all wanted to feature my story as part of their post-holiday coverage about family dynamics during the holidays. I agreed to a phone interview with CNN, carefully focusing on the positive aspects of finding purpose through service, rather than dwelling on family drama. Sometimes life's disappointments redirect us toward opportunities we never would have discovered otherwise, I told the interviewer. Being rejected by my family led me to find a new kind of family among people who needed help. The interview aired that evening, showing clips of the homeless shelter dinner alongside footage from Jessica's viral live stream. The contrast was stark. While Derek was being exposed for his lies and deception, I was being celebrated for authentic generosity and professional achievement. Social media users began investigating my background more thoroughly, discovering my Northwestern MBA, my rapid promotion at Morrison Global Marketing, and my previous volunteer work with literacy programs. The narrative that emerged painted me as someone who had overcome family adversity through hard work and character. Derek, meanwhile, faced immediate consequences for his viral humiliation. Bean There Coffee Shop received hundreds of negative reviews and angry phone calls from people who had seen the live stream. The owner, fearing damage to his business reputation, terminated Derek's employment on December 26th. I can't have employees whose personal drama is affecting my business, the owner told local reporters. The viral video has created a circus atmosphere that's disrupting our normal operations. Our parents found themselves ostracized by their social circle as neighbors and church members learned the details of how they had treated their successful daughter. Mom's bridge club friends stopped calling, and Dad received cold shoulders at the hardware store where he had shopped for 30 years. The borrowed furniture and decorations Derek had insisted upon became symbols of his deception. When the rental companies arrived to reclaim their items, photographers captured the moment, further cementing the image of Derek's fake lifestyle being dismantled. Local Ohio newspapers picked up the story, interviewing my former Northwestern classmates and Morrison Global Marketing colleagues about my character and achievements. The Columbus Dispatch ran a front-page story titled, "Dayton Daughter's Christmas Kindness Goes Viral After Family Rejection." The article detailed my academic achievements, professional success, and charitable work, contrasting it with Derek's lies and our parents' favoritism. The piece included quotes from my college professors about my work ethic and integrity. Amy Thompson represents the best of what education can produce, said Dr. Michael Chen, my former marketing professor at Northwestern. She combined intellectual ability with genuine compassion for others. Any family should be proud to claim her as their own. The story spread internationally when British and Australian news outlets picked up the narrative as an example of American family dysfunction and holiday drama. The global attention intensified pressure on Derek and our parents as they realized their treatment of me had become a worldwide symbol of jealousy and poor parenting. By December 28th, Derek had received over 50,000 negative comments across his social media accounts. He was forced to delete his Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn profiles as the harassment became overwhelming. Job applications were futile since any potential employer could easily find the viral videos by searching his name. Our parents received hundreds of messages from strangers criticizing their parenting choices and expressing support for me. Their mailbox filled with cards from people across the country praising my character and condemning the family's treatment. The psychological impact on Derek was severe. He barely left his childhood bedroom, refusing to answer phone calls or speak to visitors. The golden child who had enjoyed a lifetime of unearned favor was now experiencing the consequences of jealousy and deception on a scale he never could have imagined. Meanwhile, my charity work continued gaining recognition. The National Association of Marketing Professionals invited me to speak at their annual conference about using business skills for social impact. 3 major charitable organizations offered me board positions, recognizing my ability to organize large-scale humanitarian initiatives. My phone rang constantly with interview requests, job offers, and collaboration proposals. The viral attention had elevated my professional profile to levels that typically took decades to achieve. What started as a family's rejection had transformed into a platform for meaningful impact. On December 29th, I received a call that would change everything once more. It was from Oprah's production company, inviting me to appear on her show to discuss overcoming family adversity through service to others. The appearance would reach millions of viewers and cement my status as a role model for young women facing family challenges. As I considered the invitation, I realized that Derek's attempt to diminish my success had actually amplified it beyond anything I could have achieved on my own. His jealousy and lies had backfired spectacularly, creating a platform for me to inspire others while exposing the toxic family dynamics that had held me back for years. The tables had indeed turned, but not through revenge or spite. They had turned through authentic character, genuine achievement, and the power of truth to triumph over deception. 5 days after Christmas, while I was reviewing notes for my upcoming Oprah appearance, my phone rang with a familiar Ohio number. Mom's voice was barely recognizable through her tears and desperation. "Ami, please, honey. We need you to come home. We've made the most terrible mistake of our lives, and we don't know how to fix it." Her voice broke completely. "The whole world is calling us horrible parents. And they're right. We are horrible parents. We threw away our greatest blessing because we were too stupid to see what we had." I sat in my Manhattan office, watching snowflakes drift past the 42nd floor windows, listening to the woman who had rejected me just 10 days earlier now begging for forgiveness. The irony wasn't lost on me, but surprisingly, I felt no satisfaction in her desperation. "Mom," I said gently, "take a deep breath and tell me what's happening." Through her sobs, the full picture emerged. Derek hadn't left his bedroom in 3 days, refusing food and ignoring everyone who tried to reach him. The viral humiliation had destroyed not just his fake persona, but his entire sense of self-worth. Dad was getting hostile stares at work, and Mom couldn't show her face at church without people whispering about their terrible parenting. "The whole town knows what we did to you," she cried. "Mrs. Henderson from church brought over a newspaper article about your charity work. She asked how we could be proud of Derek's lies while rejecting your genuine success." I didn't have an answer. More painfully, she continued, they had been watching my interviews and reading articles about my charitable work. For the first time, they were seeing me through the eyes of strangers who recognized my character and achievements without the filter of sibling favoritism. "We've been getting letters from across the country." Dad got on the line, his voice heavy with shame. "Hundreds of them. People telling us how proud we should be of you and how disappointed they are in our treatment." One letter really got to me. It was from a father whose daughter died in a car accident. He said he would give anything to have one more Christmas with his successful, loving daughter, and he couldn't understand how we could throw away that gift. I listened quietly, processing the complete reversal of everything I had known about my family dynamics. The people who had spent my entire life minimizing my achievements were now desperate to claim association with my success. "What about Derek?" I asked, genuinely concerned despite everything that had happened. Mom's voice became even more pained. Has destroyed Ami. Completely broken. He lost his job at the coffee shop because of the negative attention. No one in town will hire him because everyone recognizes him from the viral videos. He keeps saying his life is over, that he'll never recover from this humiliation. The worst part, Dad added, is that we enabled this. We spent his whole life telling him he was special without requiring him to actually accomplish anything. We made him feel entitled to success he never earned while tearing you down for achievements you worked incredibly hard for. I could hear Derek in the background, his voice muffled but clearly distraught. The golden child who had enjoyed preferential treatment his entire life was now experiencing consequences for the first time, and he was completely unprepared to handle adversity. Will you please come home? Mom pleaded. Not for us because we don't deserve forgiveness, but maybe for Derek? You're the only person who might be able to help him find a path forward. I made my decision quickly. I'll fly out tomorrow. But I need you to understand something. I'm not coming home to restore the old family dynamics. I'm coming as a successful adult who won't tolerate being diminished or disrespected anymore. Anything, Dad said immediately. Well, do anything you ask. We just need our daughter back. The next evening, I arrived at Dayton International Airport, wearing a tailored black coat and carrying the confidence that came from knowing my worth. My parents met me at baggage claim, looking older and more fragile than I remembered. The stress of the past week had aged them visibly. The drive to our childhood home was quiet, filled with the weight of unspoken apologies and lifetime of poor choices coming to light. When we pulled into the driveway, I noticed the neighbors discreetly watching from their windows. My return was clearly anticipated neighborhood news. Inside, the house looked normal again. The borrowed furniture and decorations had been returned, leaving familiar worn furniture and simple holiday decorations. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together, I said carefully. Your life isn't over, but it does need to be rebuilt on a foundation of truth rather than lies. That's going to require work you've never been willing to do before. Over the next 3 hours, we had the most honest conversation our family had ever experienced. Derek admitted to years of lies, not just about his recent job, but about smaller accomplishments throughout his life. Our parents acknowledged their role in creating the toxic dynamic that had driven me away and enabled his deception. I need to know that you understand why I succeeded, I told them, not because I was lucky or because my job was easy, but because I worked harder than anyone else was willing to work. I sacrificed social events, dating relationships, and family time to build my career. My success came through discipline and dedication. Mom nodded through her tears. We see that now. We've been reading articles about your work, watching your interviews. The way you talk about your charity work and career goals shows a depth of character we were too blind to recognize. What do you need from us? Dad asked. How can we begin to make this right? I considered their question carefully. The viral attention had taught me something important about my own strength and worth. I didn't need their approval anymore, but I could choose to include them in my life on healthier terms. I need Derek to get honest employment and start paying back the money he borrowed from you through lies, I said. I need you both to stop making excuses for failure and start recognizing genuine achievement. And I need all of you to understand that my success is not a threat to this family. It's something that should make you proud. Derek spoke up with the first initiative he had shown in years. I want to work for your charity organization. Not in some executive role I haven't earned, but doing whatever needs to be done. Cleaning, food service, administrative work. I want to learn what real service looks like from someone who actually understands it. His offer surprised me, but his humility seemed genuine. That's not going to be easy work, and it won't pay much, I warned. I don't deserve easy or well paid right now, Derek replied. I need to earn back my self-respect by actually helping people instead of lying about helping people. Our parents committed to attending family therapy to address the favoritism and poor communication patterns that had damaged our relationships for decades. They also insisted on paying for Derek's relocation to New York so he could work with my charity organization and rebuild his life in a new environment. As our conversation continued into the evening, I realized something unexpected was happening. The viral humiliation that had destroyed Derek's false persona was creating space for him to discover his authentic self for the first time. The pressure to live up to their golden child expectations had prevented him from developing genuine character or work ethic. I want you to know, I told my family as we concluded our talk, that I'm not doing this to rescue you or because I need your approval. I'm doing it because choosing forgiveness over resentment serves my own growth and peace. 3 months later, Derek was working full-time at Riverside Homeless Shelter, starting as a food service volunteer and gradually taking on more responsibilities as he proved his commitment. The work was humbling and challenging, but it was also authentic in a way his previous life had never been. My parents visited New York monthly, marveling at the life I had built and finally expressing genuine pride in my achievements. Our relationship was still healing, but it was built on mutual respect rather than childhood dynamics. The viral attention had led to opportunities beyond anything I could have imagined. My Oprah appearance inspired thousands of young women to pursue their goals despite family obstacles. 3 major corporations offered me executive positions with significant salary increases, recognizing the leadership skills I had demonstrated through adversity. Most importantly, I had learned that success isn't diminished by other people's failure to recognize it. My worth had never been dependent on family approval, though it had taken their rejection for me to fully understand that truth. The girl who had been excluded from Christmas for being too successful had become a woman who understood that authentic achievement speaks for itself, regardless of who chooses to listen. As I reflect on this journey, I realize that Derek's jealousy gave me the greatest gift possible: the opportunity to discover my own strength and purpose independent of family expectations. Sometimes the people who try to dim your light actually help you shine brighter by forcing you to find your power from within. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced family jealousy or been criticized for your success? How did you handle situations where the people closest to you didn't support your achievements? Please share your experiences in the comments below, because your story might inspire someone else who's struggling with similar challenges. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like to help others find it. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about overcoming family obstacles and finding your true purpose. And please share this with anyone who might need encouragement to pursue their dreams despite family criticism. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. Remember that your worth isn't determined by other people's ability to recognize it, and sometimes the greatest gift is discovering you're stronger than you ever imagined. Wishing you all the courage to pursue your dreams and the wisdom to choose forgiveness when it serves your own growth.